Hi everyone, Denise from Salvaged Inspirations here, and thanks for joining me today. Today I have an amazing short but sweet tutorial on a curb shop dresser transformation. This is a short and sweet tutorial jam-packed with a ton of tips. My all-time favorite product to stop bleed through. It's an easy way to remove keyhole plates, how to fill holes in dresser tops where a vintage mirror used to be, my favorite go-to paint brushes, and probably most importantly, totally transforming a piece by hiding original details and creating a beautiful finish with WoodUbend furniture moldings and trims. So just let me get set up and I'll be right back.
I found this piece curbside. My neighbor had it out on the curb. He is an 82-year-old gentleman who is selling his home and moving into a condo, which kind of makes me sad. I'm sad to see him go, but he was really pleased that I took his dresser because at least he knows it's gonna have a new life and a new lease of life on it. Super beautiful piece. Really heavy. You can tell that there was an old mirror attached at one point. The hardware has been updated. These keyholes, you know, I love keyholes. I don't know about these lines though. I always try working with the details of a piece, but I'm not sure those lines are doing it for me. So I still have to think on what I'm gonna do with this. So with these lock mechanisms on these old pieces, which are just fabulous, I love it when they come with this, but usually you don't have the key. I don't take the whole lock mechanism out, but I am going to remove the lock mechanism or the faceplate off the lock on the front. And how I do that is just with some sort of skinny edge, and you just pry carefully because you don't want to make a mess, but you just pry the little pin nails out very carefully, and then usually they just pop right out. See, they're just held on with little pin nails. I wonder if you could see that. Sometimes with these old dressers, you end up with these holes at the back where the mirror was attached. I like filling them with wood dowels rather than a whole lot of Bondo or wood putty. If I have the wood dowels that fit in there perfectly, works really well. And you just bang it in there until it's totally flush. And then of course you can use a wood piece to get it really flush. I would use two hands with this, but one of them has the camera in there, until it's totally flat. And if you have any gaps in and around the edge, you would just use a little bit of wood filler or Bondo at that point. So it was all sanded and I had filled in the back mirror holes. I decided to fill in the grooves on the front of the drawer with Bondo. I'll include the video I did on Bondo up here so you can grab that if need be. Now the great thing about Bondo is it dries within 10 to 15 minutes and it can be sanded and primed and it's raring to go. So once I sanded back the Bondo, I gave the entire dresser a good sanding, and then here comes the fun part. I started playing with the WoodUbend appliques, and I got in trouble for calling them appliques before because that's the French Canadian way of saying it, and everybody was saying it's applique. So applique, applique, however you pronounce it, these are gorgeous. And they are really fun to use on pieces and really make an elegant statement. You can mix and match them. They are bendable, so they can go around. This dresser has a bit of a curve on the front of it. You can use them on corners. They're drillable, they're stainable, they're sandable. I just love them, and as you'll see, it makes such a difference on this dresser. I apply them with Titebond glue, and then I add some heat, and I can clamp them and they stick really well. Here's what it looked like once they were all adhered, and I mixed and matched the designs, and here's what I ended up with. To stop bleed through on this dresser, I gave it 2 coats of VIN shellac base primer, and then I had fun mixing a custom color. I used about 80% Manatee Gray and also about 20% Stormy Seas.
I brushed on one generous coat. Dixie Belle paints are highly pigmented, so often one coat will do it, depending on the type of finish that you're thinking of trying. In my mind, I wanted it very distressed, antiqued, and I ended up using some grunge glaze to achieve that look. And I didn't mind that a little bit of the white primer was peeking through here and there, because I did add a white wash after all was said and done. I often get asked what types of brushes I like to use. I use a variety. I very much like Purdy, I like Wooster, and I love Dixie Belle brushes. To get on the coat, here I'm using my 3-inch Wooster, and it's a no fuss brush. It covers a lot of area in a short amount of time. Just get that paint on there. You'll also notice that I'm using a spray mister bottle. I find this very, very helpful to get a very smooth finish when I'm brushing on the paint. Dixie Belle paints are really nice and thick, which is fabulous because a little goes a long, long way. However, it's helpful when you're trying to get a really smooth finish to just apply a little bit of a mist of water on it, whether it's on your brush or whether it's on the actual piece, and then glide your brush along it. It'll have a nice glide feel, and it will give you the smoothest finish. I have a full blog post over at salvagedinspirations.com with a bunch of fabulous tips on how to paint furniture without brush marks. Once I gave this piece a nice light sanding, I started applying the grunge glaze, which really gives this piece character. I've switched to a smaller Purdy brush, and this is so I can get into all the nooks and crannies of this WoodUbend detail. And I'm just dabbing it on. There's really no rhyme or reason to this. It's just supposed to be an antique grungy look. So I dab on the glaze, and then with a normal shop towel or paper towel, I'm just wiping off the excess on these appliques. See, I listen to you guys. Here I've changed over to an old, I call it like ratty tatty brush because I just use it for whatever. It's not in very good shape anymore, but it's perfect for this type of technique because I'm just dabbing it on areas where the piece would naturally be aged and antiqued, around the hardware, around the keyholes, around all this gorgeous trim. And then again, taking my shop towel and just dabbing at it and manipulating the glaze so it's heavier in some areas and lighter in others. So I just wanted to share how this grungy glaze is coming across on the WoodUbend. I've already applied the one coat of glaze, as you can see, and it's been top coated. So I'm gonna just continue doing this in layers. I'll apply another coat of the grunge glaze on top of the top coat and then re-top coat it. And this way it won't sink in quite as much. So when you're using glaze on top of paint, it will sink into the paint some, you'll get like a more defined look. And if you're using glaze on top of a top coat, you can manipulate it a little bit more because it has like a shield, like more of a slippery shield to be manipulated. So you can actually layer this way, and you'll tell that the WoodUbend really starts to pop out and the details really become more and more accentuated by using the glaze. For the last details on this WoodUbend, I'm taking buttercream in Dixie Belle, and with a very, very dry brush, I'm just taking a tiny, tiny little bit on the ends of my brush and even wiping that off. So this is dry brushing the details. And I'm just very, very gently highlighting all this WoodUbend in the buttercream. You can tell this really makes the WoodUbend pop. hope you found this tutorial helpful. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you haven't subscribed, please be sure to do so. I'd also love to see you over at salvagedinspirations.com, where I have over 400 furniture painting tutorials teaching you how to make your furniture beautiful. Until next time, stay safe and see you soon.